the chapter of Samadhi and wisdom. So the last time we're talking about when the mind is pure, the land is pure. If the mind is free from greed, anger, and ignorance, pride, and doubt, then there are no inner disturbances, and thus the world itself appears free of problems. So impurity arises from our own afflictive emotions and diluted mental habits. And the talk was ended on November 30th, 2025. And there's a saying of one moment of purity is one moment in the Pure Land. Even if for 1 minute, 1 second, or one thought, we let go of those afflictions, then in that moment we experience ourselves dwelling in the Pure Land. Next is the experience shared by our teacher. He said, my own cultivation is not great. I'm still an ordinary person. But since I read and lecture on the sutras every day, I also practice daily. When facing complicated matters, I train not to let the mind become agitated. When facing difficult situations, I train not to panic. So I follow this simple principles of the Chinese saying, when water comes, block it with earth. When soldiers come, meet them with generals. If the water comes and there's no earth, worrying is useless. You drown. If soldiers come and you have no general, you die. Worrying changes nothing. Well, that's a saying of what when water comes, block it with earth. When soldiers come, meet them with generals. So, and our teacher said, I keep this attitude in mind when viewing the world and handling every situation. And he said, I've been extremely busy. Many people want to see me, but I have no time to schedule them all. Almost every day the schedule was full. And he said before his lecture, I agreed to see 5 groups in total. Each group had many people. And he said at 9:30 I had to lecture. But by 9:15 I was still dealing with things. And all 5 groups were still waiting. The attendant said, Master, there are more and more people waiting for you. And he said, don't rush. And my attendant said, Master, can everyone really see you? And he said, of course, just seeing them is enough. So our teacher went down and met all 5 groups one by one, spoke with them, resolved their matters, and still arrived at lecture on time. Everyone left happy, saying the issue was resolved. Strange, isn't it? how could things be resolved so quickly? Well, because, he said, because I was not anxious. As we know, when the mind is calm, answers are simple and direct. Sometimes he did not need to say much, just, long time no see, you're doing well, even better than before, no problem. Everything will be fine. Just recite Guan Yin Bodhisattva's name, and all will be well. So the question is, do those words have any real power? Perhaps not in themselves, not in the words. But for those who came to see our teacher, hearing that one phrase made them feel their problems were already resolved. That is the power of a peaceful and pure mind. A moment of purity is a moment in the Pure Land. But things are not always so simple. Some problems are very complicated. Someone will keep talking and talking, wanting you to listen, not necessarily looking for an answer. So, what do we do in such cases? And our teacher said, I listen, because they simply need to speak. After a while, I ask, so what answer do you need? They continue talking. I say, you don't actually want an answer. Then I'm fine and you're fine, right? So they say, I never needed an answer. I just wanted to tell Shifu. So I become a trash can. They dump the garbage into me. But there is something unusual about this trash can. It has no bottom. It's important. It has no bottom. It refers to a bottomless garbage can. Whatever they throw in disappears. Nothing stays. Some people become like a garbage pile. The more others dump on them, the heavier and dirtier they become. But for me, referring to our teacher, though people dump their worries and negativity on me, I do not receive them. I hear them, but I do not hold them, which is important. You hear and you don't hold on to them. Yet the issues are still getting resolved. If you can practice like this, your affliction will decrease. You will already in the Pure Land. Now, this section here referring to practice like a bottomless garbage can. And try it. This become a method. We know everyone has vexations and problems. How do we view them? Well, with a straight mind, you will not become affected by other people's problem, and you can help them resolve theirs. The worst situation is when you originally have no problem, but after someone tells you theirs, you end up with even more problems, taking on their worries and suffering. Like someone who is not a thief, locked in a room with thieves, who eventually learns to deal too. Well, who eventually learns to steal too. Some people try to help others and end up only making things worse. This is foolish. This is foolishness, not straight mind, not wisdom. Thus, Pure Land is wherever the mind is pure. How to make the mind pure when the mind is straight, when you do not judge based on self-interest or personal gain or loss, and you treat people and matters impartially, then the mind is pure. So the saying of building a pure land on earth, now referring to building a human pure land, well, we base on human standards, not Buddha's standards. There are 3 types of pure lands. Pure land in other worlds, human pure land within one's own mind. The human pure land is one that humans can realistically build, using human abilities and standards, not the standards of Buddhas or Bodhisattvas. Do not try to build a human pure land using Buddha's standard. That is impossible. For example, the Western Pure Land has golden ground and jeweled trees, created by Amitabha Buddha's vow power. If our earth were made of gold and all trees of 7 precious jewels, could we survive? No. We would all become fossils, unable to live. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the Pure Lands do not need food and do not have our physical bodies. They live that way because they are not karma-born beings. They are merit-born beings. We humans have flesh and blood bodies, subject to illness and death. So human standards cannot follow Buddha land standards. That would be unreasonable. So the first point is human Pure Land is not the Buddha's Pure Land, and their standards are different. So what can humans do? Well, to practice the 5 precepts. As we know, do not kill, do not steal, do not commit sexual misconduct, do not lie, do not consume intoxicant that damage mind and body. If everyone practiced these, there would be no violence, no harm, no chaos. We would support, respect, and care for each other. Then this world would already be good enough, wouldn't it? We do not need a world made of gold. Soil is good because soil grows food. If everything were gold, we would starve. In the Western Pure Land, beings do not get sick or die. They are merit bodies, not karma bodies. Here we are born from parents, We cannot avoid illness and death, but we can reduce suffering. So keep the mind healthy, create a safe and hygienic environment, eat and live mindfully. Then illness decreases, life becomes longer and more peaceful. Death will still come, but when death arrives, we will not fear it. It becomes like traveling. Today here, tomorrow somewhere else. Natural and calm. If we can face life and death like that, isn't this already a Pure Land? If we can live like that, won't that be enough? Yes, and we truly can do it if we follow Buddhist principles. And when we do, the human Pure Land will naturally appear. And we need to know the human Pure Land can be realized. It is not empty ideal. From the time of Sakyamuni Buddha, he devoted himself to spreading the Dharma and benefiting sentient beings, with the purpose that human beings might learn to skillfully handle the reality of birth, aging, sickness, and death. He wanted people to understand these natural processes, and through the practice of precepts, concentration, and wisdom, to be able to experience purity, both in their minds and in their living environment, here and now in human life. Thus, we speak of establishing a human Pure Land. It is truly possible, not an empty or abstract ideal. Because we have been promoting spiritual environmental protection and living environmental protection. Someone once asked our teacher, in the future, will Dharma Drum Mountain become an ideal human Pure Land, completely separated from the world, a place isolated from society, like a pure zone outside the world? And our teacher said, if that's the idea, then we should not build Dharma Drum Mountain at all. If only Dharma Drum Mountain is a Pure Land and everywhere else is not, then Dharma Drum Mountain would be an empty, false Pure Land, impossible to truly establish. A Pure Land must be built among the people, within the society, to reflect the spirit of Dharma Drum Mountain. Otherwise, that Dharma Drum Mountain would not be a Pure Land at all. So our teacher explained, human Pure Land is simply like this: uplift the character of humanity, build a Pure Land, build a human Pure Land. This is not a slogan. It is achievable. If even one householder practices in this way, that home gradually becomes a family human Pure Land. If a group practices this way, that group's environment gradually becomes a community human Pure Land. Is it possible? yes, but not perfectly or always. Why? Because people are ordinary beings, heavy karma, strong afflictions. In theory, they agree. In reality, when afflictions arise, they still flare up. Therefore, beyond the human Pure Land, we must speak of the Pure Land within one's own mind. Because a human Pure Land requires many people together, and although it can appear so far in over 2,000 years since Sakyamuni Buddha, we have not seen a complete human Pure Land in the world. There is still evil and impurity everywhere. Thus, for many, the human Pure Land seems like an ideal. But Sakyamuni Buddha did not intend it as a fantasy. If even one person truly realizes it, that one person lives in a Pure Land. Once one person experiences it inwardly, that is called the Pure Land of one's own mind. This is easier and more profound than the human Pure Land because it is an individual practice. So in the Pure Land of the mind, there are 3 levels of practice. That is to say, the Pure Land of the mind can be experienced in 3 ways. First of all, is individual personal experience. When our mind is free from afflictions, untouched by disturbances, we see the Pure Land. It is an individual realization. So that is to say, when we are free from affliction, we are untouched by disturbances. And then comes the second one, is the temporary or periodic experience. When our mind is joyful and calm and nothing greatly disturbs us, we feel peace. And the world appears pure and beautiful. This is a temporary Pure Land experience. I remember for my retreat, intensive retreat, in early time, I felt quite good. And when on the street, I see that people are so lovely. Things are beautiful. I just have a feeling of like hugging everyone, giving them a kiss. Isn't that interesting? But that kind of feeling, you can say that is temporary. Afterward, it fades away. And then the third one is gradual cultivation, progressive experience. So with practice, vexation become lighter and fewer. And our experience of inner purity and outer clarity become deeper and more stable. And our mind becomes broader and more expansive. Eventually, at any time, in any place, seeing any person, things, or event, we are not affected or polluted. At that point, we live in a constant, unchanging Pure Land. Therefore, the so-called Pure Land of the mind has these levels. First of all, is personal level, and then the second one is temporary periods, and the third one is gradual development, developmental stages. Each step is a real stage of progress. There's a fact that we just need to know. Body and mind are inseparable. If the mind is unhealthy, the environment one sees cannot be a pure land. Because when the mind is afflicted, the world one perceives appears irritating and unpleasant. Likewise, when the body is unwell, the world also does not seem good. When we are sick or our physical condition changes abnormally, the world feels unpleasant. If the body feels uncomfortable, even fresh air seems strange. People look problematic, and even a beautiful flower becomes annoying. Take it away, disgusting. Something originally fragrant becomes unbearable when we are unwell. A pleasant scent may cause headaches. There was one time when in our center, a group of people was using the contemplation hall. And when I enter, I feel like, wow, the smell something of the food. And the room was filled with the smelly place. It is as if it's all of a sudden we enter into a different place. So, but some people even like the smell of body odor that others find unbearable. For them, it becomes pleasant. But for us, or for me, it becomes unpleasant. That is probably because of my body condition. So when the body or mind is off and the environment is unpleasant, everything feels problematic. An example of this chairman normally has a very bright and open mind. But recently, he looked gloomy every day. Well, so asking him, then he said, oh, the doctor told me not to do exercise lately. With less exercise, my brain lacks oxygen, so my mind feels dull. Yes, when there is even a slight imbalance in body and mind, the world stops looking like a pure land. But a pure land based on imagination is unreliable. Some people create the pure land purely by imagination. Some attain it through practice and experience. Pure land by imagination alone is not reliable. It is hypnosis, self-deception. Telling yourself, even though everything outside is chaotic, just imagine it as a Pure Land. This did not work. If you do not truly experience it as a Pure Land, forcing imagination has no effect. It is cheating yourself. True Pure Land must arise from genuine understanding and view inner experience. Only when your mind feels pure will the world appear pure. Therefore, we must practice. Keep precepts, cultivate concentration, listen to and reflect on the Dharma. Listening gives us conceptual understanding. Precept and meditation bring experiential realization in life. Just listening is not enough. Practicing without learning Dharma is also insufficient. So practice understanding must support each other. Know what you can, practice what you know. Practice guided by Dharma understanding. Self-mind Pure Land, human Pure Land, and other world Pure Lands. We have now explained them all. Here, when we say a straight mind is the Bodhi Mandala, a straight mind is the Pure Land. So the question is that, which type of Pure Land is it referring to? It is the Pure Land of one's own mind. As long as our mind does not get carried away or disturbed by external circumstances, the world we see and experience is a Pure Land. Some say sitting still without thought is one practice samadhi. This obstructs the path. Well, why? The mind sets, the mouth sets straight. The heart is crooked, not a straight mind. So the Platform Sutra says, do not let the mind act with flattery or distortion while the mouth only speaks of being straight. Do not merely say one practice samadhi without practicing a straight mind. This means that if inwardly one's mind is distorted or dishonest, yet one speaks noble principles outwardly, this is not practicing straight mind, and therefore not one practice samadhi. So the meaning of flattery and crookedness. First of all, flattery means speaking pleasant words to please others, not speaking truth. Crookedness means twisting facts and speaking negatively, also untrue. Flattery praises falsely. Crookedness criticizes falsely. Both are not straight. Both are distortions. So, both flattery and slander are not straight. Crookedness referring to. Slander here referring to crookedness. Yet some still say, I am straightforward. I speak my mind. Give an example. Meeting a wealthy donor, one says, "You are a great bodhisattva. You are a savior of this world, a living Buddha." Not knowing who that person truly is, but praising to gain donations. This is flattery. Conversely, if someone talks behind my back or harms the modesty, and I say, "This person has never done good. Whoever meets him has bad luck." If this is not true, then this is crookedness, twisting reality due to aversion. So flattery and crookedness, are they straight mind? Of course not. Although the mouth speaks straightness, the mind is twisted. So true straight mind is one practice samadhi. One practice samadhi is a method of exclusive cultivation that we have already explained. The method of straight mind could be misunderstood. In the platform Sutra that says, "Just practice with a straight mind and do not cling to any Dharma." Do not cling to any Dharma. Deluded people cling to forms, insisting that sitting without moving and not giving rise to thoughts is one practice samadhi. Those who interpret it this way are like emotionless objects and create obstacles to the path. So we use this passage to explain the misunderstanding of straight mind. What about the point of not clinging to any Dharma? So first, what is straight mind? First, this passage explains what one practice samadhi truly is, and then warns against misunderstanding it. The true one practice samadhi is straight mind. The absence of discriminative thinking, no good, no bad, right or wrong, beautiful or ugly, self and others, high or low. So none of these dualities affect the mind. Thus one does not cling to any Dharma. There's another clinging through emotion or intellectual judgment. Clinging means judging through personal knowledge or emotions. If you cling, then it is not practice. It is not one practice samadhi. So one's practice samadhi means not attaching to any Dharma, not imposing personal knowledge or feelings on anything you perceive, not labeling good or bad, right or wrong, much or little, is or is not. The key point is, do not use personal opinions or emotions to judge. This is extremely important. For example, everyone's subjective emotion and judgment differs. A Buddhist monk or practitioner sees a fat pig as a sentient being, feeling compassion, wishing it not to be reborn as a pig again, hoping it attain Buddhahood. A butcher sees benefit, calculating how to kill efficiently, how much money the meat will bring, and how to cut and sell pieces. A chef sees ingredients, how to cook each part, how many dishes to make. A child sees a toy, thinking of playing with it, dressing it up, taking it for a lantern festival parade. For different people, the same pig each sees differently. Which view is correct? None, though the monk's view is closest to compassion. Buddhists read sutras as a mirror for practice and transformation. A literary scholar views sutra as a beautiful literature. The scholar, a very famous scholar, said the Lotus Sutra is literature. The Avatamsaka Sutra is imaginative literature. The Platform Sutra is also fine literature, like reading Dream of the Red Chamber. This is the name of the famous novel in China. A philosopher sees philosophical ideas, emptiness, existence, logic, metaphysics. A scientist sees scientific concepts, space, time, relativity. And there is a Buddhist analogy, blind man touching an elephant. Each touches a part and mistakes it for the whole. Similarly, each perspective affects personal views and emotions, not reality, not one practice, samadhi. Thus, Chan sometimes says sutra are only a finger pointing to the moon. Ultimate truth is beyond words and concepts. One practice samadhi transcends emotion and intellectual thoughts. So I will stop here this moment.